Welcome, lords, ladies and gentlemen, and general females. How are we doing? 8:30 new time because the AFL keep changing the fixture on us. Usually it's a Sunday, but we're here midweek. And always, I can't do this show on my own because as good as I am, I can't have objective opinions with myself because that is a medical condition. So I've brought in everyone's favourite person to do shows with me. We bicker like children at times. We're mean to each other, probably unfairly, but secretly we do love each other. But I do feel we are about to speak to the most underappreciated YouTuber in Australia, and this is heartfelt. I feel like, as fan channels go, Jake has built an incredible empire at Saints TV in a market where there isn't much talked about St Kilda. I think he's put them to the front and centre and an incredible asset to their football club. The great man himself from Saints TV, Jake, joins me. How are you doing, Jake?
I'm doing very well, Pom. Thank you very much for getting me on. I've seen this show during the year, and I think I've had a chance to come on at different points, but it hasn't worked out. But I'm very excited to jump on your channel and chat all things footy, not just Carlton and Saints, as much as that might pop up occasionally.
It will pop. I've got to say, hey, look, you see, look, me and Jake do genuinely love each other. It's all theatrics. This is I spent a bit of money this week. I've brought 5 of these for different teams because it does help homelessness. So head on to Homey, and all the money goes to a very good homeless charity. So I thought I'd rep some different teams as a general AFL YouTuber, and I can tell you they are fucking toasty.
Surely,
really
did you get a Saints one? Did you get a?
I did.
Surely you got a Saints one. I was going to say for the missus.
I did. We got a Fitzroy, a Fremantle, a Carlton one, obviously, but I like the Fitzroy colours.
Yeah,
it looks sexy. So, so I've got colours that I liked, and obviously I got the Carlton one. I've got to say, if Homey are watching, Carlton one is the worst one. Like you have really saved money and just gone with 2 crap colours and put it together. Like, come on, get a bit exciting with the Blues. Yeah. I've got to say the Saints one's the best one.
You reckon? Oh, I think Woody's worn that a few times, or at least something like that.
Yeah, in person, it's gorgeous. In person, I've got to say, it looks schmick, but I didn't get a GWS one. If someone can knit me one that says frauds, I'll wear it. I'll wear it every week on every show. But we start off as we always do with the best one. I am looking forward to this because every week we've had someone with an ulterior motive, and that ulterior motive has been to wind the ladder up. But Jake, what we do is we go game by game. We just briefly discuss what we learned by it, but we're only allowed to move the 2 teams as we talk about them. So obviously we're starting with the Dogs and Hawthorn. We can only move them now and never move them again, and they will only move if other teams move above them or down. This has been a rolling power ranking since the preseason. So this is where we sit after 13 rounds of football of doing this as a team, and not a bad ladder, if I do say so myself. There's no rules, though. 18th can jump to first can jump to 18th. They can move about in any order. There's no rules of if you win, you go up. Sometimes teams go down if they win. But Hawthorn Dogs, did you learn anything about these 2 sides, Jake? And chat, let us know what you learned.
Hawthorn Dogs. Hawks have still got something. They've got a danger factor about them. They can play a different type of football. I think even last night we talked about the way Hawthorn play and how Sam Mitchell's really put down his philosophy, and it's really one-way type of football. But I think the way they played against the Dogs showed me that they've got a different style they can go to. I don't think it necessarily was pure hawk ball, but it was something like that, even version 2, and it was good enough to beat the Dogs. And the Dogs, they're kind of where there was nothing new there. It was very much their best is one of the, if not the best in the competition. And when they don't deliver that, they're probably back in that 6 to 12 range, to be honest. So I hope that type of Bulldogs turns up tomorrow night because that gives us a chance. But if it's the top 4 style Bulldogs, That's a dangerous Bulldog. But we've only seen that for maybe a stretch of 3 or 4 games this season. So that's not quite good enough to compete with the best teams.
Do you feel like, because it's weird, if you actually look at their record, Hawthorn have won the same amount of games in the last 5 weeks as the Dogs.
Yep.
And everyone this time last week was saying Hawks are in free fall, Will Day's a big out, maybe they've gone too early. But then people were saying the same week, Beveridge is coach of the year. Miraculous what he's done. Genius. They're a smoky. Do you feel like if Dogs don't kick a score, that they're as beatable as any other team on the ladder?
100%. 100%. The issue is keeping them to a low score, and there's only maybe a handful of teams that have done it this season. I guess the Beveridge praise has come because of their injuries and I guess the inconsistency of the lineup in that first stretch of maybe 7 games, and they really played some exciting football and unveiled a few new faces that maybe we didn't think were in their best 23. And obviously missing Bont for the first 3 games. And then Sam Darcy obviously back tomorrow night, which is incredible news. And he's going to make them even stronger. But I don't know. They're an interesting one, the Doggies. I don't even know where I would put them. There wouldn't be 4.
I mean, do we move? I kind of agree with this, but I would maybe go a step further. Do we move Dogs to 6th, Hawks to 7th?
Hawks to 7th. Dogs to
Hawks
6th.
go up
I think
1, Dogs go down 2.
I think I'm just thinking of who's ahead of the Dogs. Instead of just moving them, I'm like, who's actually better than them? I think they're probably on par with the Suns, but the Suns did beat them. So yeah, you're probably right. They go below Brisbane and below the Suns. Head to head kind of proves that at the moment.
So it looks like this.
Yep.
Palm, it helps if you actually click there. Like that.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
I think that looks legit. I've got no complaints. I mean, I'm not a Hawks or a Dogs fan, so I couldn't care less.
I mean, I'm almost tempted to go. I don't know. I kind of think Geelong are too high, but that's just me. I don't know. I don't know if they're the second best team in the league.
Well, I mean, we do have to talk about a team that may usurp them here. And the next game, Mike's in chat, my boy, Adelaide fan. Adelaide, 68 points, 63 to Brisbane. And I actually think, I said it in my review of this game, Adelaide, the only question mark was they hadn't beaten anyone good. And that's what every media article will say. If you go on a run, the first thing they'll say is, oh, they haven't beaten anyone top 4, top 5, top 6. But I thought they comprehensively showed the AFL they mean business because they won this in a way that I don't think Adelaide have been given praise. They won this with grind, determination, and out Brisbane at times.
Exactly. And they were agonizingly close to Collingwood, and they've done that for a number of years at the MCG. Like, they really could have taken that game. They missed their chances. I think they probably, if they had their time over again in that last 15 minutes, potentially could have got the job done against the Pies, which is not something a lot of teams can say they can do. I do think they're probably the second best team in it at the moment. I think they are the best home team at Adelaide Oval. They're terrifying to play against, and I think if they just even break even with the away games, they've got top 3 locked up.
Mate, I agree with you. I said when I was watching that game, I said, whoever wins this, I will lock away now as a top 4 team. Like, they finish top 4. Whoever wins it. I think the loser of this, that's quite a big 4 points to lose. Good day to Chabby Joe as well.
Yeah, Joey.
Where do you think we throw Adelaide? I mean, I don't think... I want to do it for Mikey, put Adelaide as number 1. But I feel like we can't. But do we put them second?
I think they deserve second at the moment. Give me 2 seconds. My cat, he's going crazy on the internet wire. I need to move.
That's all right. Don't worry. Ben, I would say Harry Dean will be somewhere between 25 and 35. Mike giving Jake some props. I agree with you. Bad kicking is bad football. Much love, Gus. We could do it. I mean, Teresa's not in here, so we won't get the enjoyment with it. But we could do it. Brisbane. Do we put Brisbane down below, or have they still done enough to prove they're better than Gold Coast and the Dogs?
I think they're 4. Yeah. I think they're safe.
Okay, well, look, I'm happy with that as well. We do talk about 2 teams that I think we maybe were harsh on last week. We were harsh on Sydney, and we were very complimentary on Richmond. But Richmond really did become the Richmond we expected. A young side, were overawed, and Sydney really got to beat up on them, didn't they? And Sydney really needed, I think, this kind of performance to just feel a little bit better about themselves.
Yeah, so you could make at least the argument to swap Richmond and Sydney there. I think even Port are probably moving at that point. They've kind of had a few decent games of late. Carlton 13.
Well, I mean, we all know, I know Rupert's in chat, and we haven't talked about Collingwood, so we can't move them, but we all know we're putting Carlton number 1. So, I mean, that one win, we're back, baby. But no, serious, I do feel like, yeah, Sydney probably are in the 13-14 section, aren't they, with that win?
I think
they're better than all the teams below from 15, 16, 17, 18.
Yeah, I think there's going to be quite a few swapping from 10 to 15, to be honest, in that range. I think 7, 8, 9 to me are almost where they should be. I think they've warranted that. It's 10 to 14 now that I think needs some work.
Yeah, well, I mean, we said this last week on the show. Everyone was kind of playing everyone in that range, and it was going to be interesting to see what the ladder looks like next week, because this is where everyone's fighting each other. But I do find it fascinating. Sydney versus Richmond. It was always going to settle who was going to be the best of the rest. I thought when we did that. But interesting, because I don't think you can move Sydney any higher, because obviously, all due respect to Richmond, it is Richmond.
No, yeah, and yeah, Richmond is safe there. I still think Port are probably 15 and Richmond 16, North 17, Eagles 18. That's
I was
thinking that. Yeah, Port are too low.
Well, I mean, we are nearly at the Port game. We will do the Geelong game, because we have moved them around, Geelong and Gold Coast. Geelong emphatically beat Gold Coast, and I felt this game was a bit like the Adelaide-Brisbane game. It was Gold Coast's first real test against bona fide challengers, and I thought Geelong could have won this by more. I feel like Gold Coast, I said it last week, I feel like people are getting on the bandwagon a little bit. And will that game style stack up against a side that's not going to let you play it? And Geelong did Geelong things, didn't they? They just bullied them, really.
Yeah, that was definitely a top 4 team playing a bottom of the top 8, slightly outside the 8 type team. At least that's how it looked. Geelong stay where they're at. I think they're comfortable in 3rd. The Suns, I can't put the Suns lower than 6th. To me, at least. I think they definitely deserve to be better than Fremantle. Like, Fremantle have had some really disappointing losses across the year. There's no way they're below them. I think that's fair. Yeah, I think Suns 6th.
Look, I'm happy with that if you are as well. I mean, then we come on to the team you were talking about, Port Adelaide, and every week a different host has to survive Pom's hatred of GWS, right? And we are looking at the vanilla ice cream, ladies and gentlemen, of football teams, right? Honestly, I am going to dispel this myth. Everyone doesn't mind GWS. It's a bit like vanilla ice cream. But no one's favourite ice cream is vanilla ice cream. It's just better than frozen shit. And that is GWS. It's better than supporting Essendon as a Carlton fan or Collingwood as an Essendon fan. It's just better than that. But genuinely, no one cares. But I thought this was massive for Port. And Port, my question to you, Jake, and I keep saying it, when they've got a reason to win, guaranteed to win, it's just finding that reason, isn't it? Like everyone was saying, Hinckley was in the press, get rid of him. Is he going to step down? I knew they were going to come out and win this just as soon as that was in the papers. When they have a reason to win, they'll prove you wrong. But if it's just a normal game, they will lose it.
100%. I think that I don't know if that's got to do with their whole coaching situation and 1 week Hinckley's coaching, 1 week Carr's coaching, and they don't know which game plan is which. But I dare say we'll probably see that type of Port Adelaide for the rest of the year until everything is stable. Because to me, I always think that a club that's, hasn't got that stability off field is never going to have it on field. So that's a next year thing. But we're probably going to see what we've seen where they'll lose to some teams you expect them to beat by a lot, and then they beat the teams that you don't expect them to beat at all. So I think the Suns on fraud watch, as you would agree. I think fraud watch is 9th position. I think it is, to be fair. So I think they stay there. I don't think they're lower than 9th. I think if they're lower than 9th, and that's just someone really hates them. But Port, probably too low for me. I think I'd swap them with North. I'm tempted to go 15th, but I just feel like Richmond have at least, to some extent, exceeded expectations in a way. And Port haven't met their expectations. So they can't be above Richmond by that logic, at least in my head.
I feel like Port as well are the team that at AO also have like that guaranteed win, don't they? I feel like Port at the Adelaide Oval against any of the bottom 12 would probably consider themselves favourites.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I don't know what the back end of their year looks like, but if they've got some of those games, then yeah, they could easily find themselves, in 3 weeks' time, upwards of 13, 12, depending on their form.
And then we have probably the AFL equivalent of the cure for narcolepsy. North versus Eagles at Bunbury. I watched this, and it was that bad that I actually went and did the back garden while listening to it. Like, it actually gave me the encouragement to get out and do something with my life. This was a tough watch, and this one here feels like all we learn out of this is North literally fall over the line when they win. But Eagles, they should have destroyed this, shouldn't they?
Yeah. They would be kicking themselves that they didn't get the win. North weren't really in it at any point. Like West Coast, I think we can all walk away. If West Coast had a won, you'd say, yeah, they deserved it. But even North fans probably think, yeah, we got out of jail there a little bit. We'll just take it. Let's not even watch the replay. Let's not acknowledge that game even happened, really. Obviously, it's one of their sold home games in WA, so they've got the next one, I think, this week, which will be interesting. That would have been catastrophic if they had have dropped that game, having sold it.
I thought it was going to happen, and I did say quite openly, I think they deserve to, because I feel like it's the wrong way to build a fandom. I agree with Shure as well. Thank God I didn't have to review that game. Because honestly, watching it, you know what? Radio commentary is the cheat code as well. For people watching at home, it's the cheat code if the game's rubbish. Because for some reason, radio commentators make it sound a little bit better than it actually is. But halfway through the third, they started talking about the sausage sizzle that was happening at the front of Bunbury Oval. And I was like, that's how bad it is. The commentators are telling us about what snags are going on the barbie.
I mean, now I'm hungry, but how is that? Like, we talk about pressure with other coaches, and Beveridge has copped it a little bit. Hawthorn's copped it a little bit. Ross has copped it. Voss obviously has. At what point does the North and Clarko get a little bit of heat? Because like, look where they are on this list. They shouldn't be there. Like really, based on their last 3 years, their recruiting. They got Darling. They what's his name from Sydney? I forgot his name already.
Constante.
No. The
Parker.
Luke Parker. They got him. A bit more experience, got a lot of top-end talent, supposedly coming into their prime. LDU, Sheasel, Cherry, one of the best rucks. Larkey, one of the best forwards. A backline that's not too bad on paper, but to be 17th and to say that Richmond have had a better season, at least in some areas, that's not good enough, is it? Like, I just think they don't get enough pressure on them. What point are they not rebuilding and they should be here, you know?
Do you know what I think it is? I feel like the AFL has the biggest Messiah complex in the world. And I feel like North are backed into a corner. They have taken the shortcut to media gratification, bringing in Clarkson, openly letting him do whatever he wanted, nominating the backroom staff, nominating the people he answers to upstairs. They've invested a lot in the Great White Hope. And I don't disagree, Clarkson's a legend, but I feel like it would be like Man United right now going with Jose Mourinho again. And you already know it's archaic. It was revolutionary, but everyone's moved ahead. I feel like that if they admit now they're wrong, that's catastrophic because they've thrown all the eggs in the Clarkson basket to the extent of it was rumoured he was allowed to discuss who's on the list management team. Like, it was a full, you are in charge, do whatever you want, eating up 90%. And I feel like he's maybe protected a little bit by the media because I can guarantee if that was Reece Shaw again or any of the other coats, Brett Ratton, we would be reading articles every day. North are cooked. Get rid of it.
Yeah. Instead, it's... You know, they don't let Kane Corns into the change rooms to interview a bloke or something like that. And that's their way of trying to be a, tough club to stand up for themselves, which I think do it on the field, start on the field, ignore that sort of stuff. I know Ross and Bassett have been vocal, but I think for pretty valid reasons. I think North are kind of picking fights in the wrong areas.
Would you agree with this, Jake? Because I mentioned St Kilda a couple of weeks ago on this show when I was criticising Clarkson. When I look at Dimmer's Gold Coast, I see Dimmer football. It looks like Richmond. When I see Ross, I see Ross's DNA in the team. I see that hard edge, that heavy structure, that no man is the king. Everyone is responsible. Everyone works together as a team. When I watch North, I can't see any link to the Hawthorn team. It doesn't look in any way, shape, or style like a Clarkson system.
That's a great point. Like when you look at certain teams, you can always reference another team. Like when I look at Adelaide, I think Brisbane. I think we all think that. And that's scary because Brisbane are bloody good. And I think Adelaide could even be better at some point. The Dogs and Geelong play a very similar style, very high possession base, chip it around, but obviously very powerful running teams and can kick big scores, and they use it so well going inside 50. Collingwood's probably an outlier in a way. I think everyone's trying to find out what exactly that is, but I think they've just got a perfect balance of everything. And then there's obviously a bunch of teams that just play that high contested ball, like Carlton, Essendon, Melbourne, playing that centre clearance heavy game. But yeah, you're right. North, I can't pinpoint exactly what their brand is, what they want to do with the ball. I can kind of
it seems
pick
to
the
change
strengths of other
weekly
teams
as well.
Yeah, like, do they change too much depending on the opponent they play? Do they cater too much? I'm not too sure. But even Port, I would say I kind of know what Port's brand is. It's shit.
Great.
No, it's not that bad. Yeah, but like I know there's this identifiable flavour to the way they play, and Sydney is the same. Even when Sydney lose, they play this certain way, and I know that's Sydney. Even if you take the Sydney colours off, that's Sydney. And I'm a bit worried to say that I think the Eagles are getting a little bit in that respect. They're getting a little bit of brand about them, very slowly, but you can see it. You can see the type of football that might actually win them games. I saw it firsthand when we played them. If you don't put the pressure on, they can hurt you. They've got enough there if it all clicks. I don't know. I think North are relying maybe on too much on Sheasel, too much on Cherry, too much on Larky. Not
the big thing that worried me with North was when they doubled down on Sheasel playing at the halfback line.
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks later, they played him where Kane Corn said. And I was like, can you imagine Clarkson doing that at Hawthorn 6-7 years ago? Like, there is no way Clarkson would have, out of principle, stopped a plan. He would have doubled down. The fact that happened screamed to me, maybe he's not the Clarkson he once was.
100%. I would, if I was a North fan and the media was screaming out for Ross to play Naz at forward pocket or something, and he says no, we're going to stick it at half back. He'll be an All Australian there, and then 3 weeks later he's in the forward pocket. As a fan, I'd be like, that's a bit off-putting to me. Like, what's going on during the week? What's going on the training track? What's the discussion between the player and the coaches that? Like, it's not even a subtle change of position. It's the opposite end of the field. Like, is that more because they don't trust anyone else in the team that can do that role to let Sheasel do what he does best? Or again, like I said, it's relying on too few. Sheasel has to be the best halfback in the team. He also has to be the best mid, and he has to be the best half forward flank and the best kick and the best contested player. Who else is doing that stuff? Who else is putting their hand up?
It'd be interesting because I agree with Chabby Joe. Yeah, Clarkson's system had some great players, but I think we've also got to remember Clarkson made them great. They were great players, always going to be, but he did get the best out of them. I don't think we're actually seeing that kind of, even that system. Early Hawthorn played the way late Hawthorn ended up. Like, when you watch North, it doesn't know, does it? You just don't know what you're getting.
No, and like the only link I would say, and this isn't, maybe I'm being biased, maybe I am, I don't know, but even Ross, like you could say that same argument with Ross is like, oh, he can't play the same way he did in 09-10 because he doesn't have Nick Riol, Del Sano, Montagna, Goddard, these guys in their prime, Lenny Hayes. But at the same time, I still think that our foundation of the way we want to play football is very similar to those teams. We just don't have that top-end talent that those teams had that he's coached before. So I wouldn't use that as an excuse just because he doesn't have Buddy and these sort of guys. I still think you can play a brand without them.
Before we move on from North, I will say you played something on the show last night of Ross talking about Saints, talking about that he basically said that he'd be willing to die to get to where he wants to be. You could see how much it meant to him. I agree with Squirrel here. It doesn't feel like he is the Mr. Kangaroo, does it?
No,
it doesn't feel like it means something to him.
No, it's a job. It's a job. He gets paid very well. And to me, I'd hate to do this, but I just think it's a little bit of an ego thing where it's like, I've done it with a great team. I'm going to take a team that's in the wilderness and I'm going to bring them into the light. And it hasn't really worked out that way. Maybe he thought it was going to be easier than it is. Maybe he thought he's as good a coach now as he was back then.
You know what? I have a theory. Sometimes money can talk you out of retirement. I felt like Clarkson was happily retired when Carlton approached him. I feel like sometimes there can be too much money where you convince yourself you can do it.
100%. And we forget the latter years of, I think, even Hawthorn before changing over to Mitchell. Like, they weren't playing. I don't think, from memory, they were playing amazing football. I think everyone was all the Hawthorn fans kind of knew what was going to happen. Whereas Ross, he was in the media. He was analysing every game. He knew where football was. I don't know how much in the football circles Clarko was when he kind of stopped for a little bit until they knocked on his door and said, hey, he's a blank check, put what you want on it and you can coach our team. Make us relevant in that way,
Mate, I do it. It's going to be interesting, but I mean, then we get to talk about my Blues, and I forgot since this game that Carlton won.
Yeah,
because honestly, the internet at the minute is a dark place for Carlton Football Club. Honestly, I can't believe we actually won this game because some people in my DMs making me feel like we lost by 80 to Essendon. But the Blues, it wasn't pretty. They found a way, and at the minute, the Blues just have to do that, haven't they? They've just got beggars can't be choosers. The Blues need to make sure they always have the after the week. They can't afford to have an L. And I thought, when I've watched this game for the fourth time since, I think Carlton lose this game this season 9 times out of 10. So I will take they fucking held on.
Yeah, I mean, I did go. I watched it. It was an interesting game. I don't know if it surprised me in any great respect. I kind of thought Essendon, despite their injuries in some games, especially against Brisbane at the Gabba, they were really gallant, and they really, they kind of threw that up again. They were really gallant, undermanned. But I guess, it showed more about Carlton and I guess their frailties when the going gets tough, when the game gets a little bit of heat into it. It was great when it was very uncontested. TDK was all over the ground in the first half, and then he went missing for a little bit. And that was enough for Essendon to get a little bit of ascendancy, get it inside 50 more. And I think if you put Carlton under enough pressure, like getting repeat entries into the defence, I think they break down. I don't think they have good enough ball users. And I know how much everyone loves to woof at the football, but I woofed with the crowd because he was turning it over about 5 times in a row in that third quarter. He just hacks the ball.
Kick a sexy goal, though.
Yeah, great. That's what defenders do, I suppose. But he kicked a nice goal, but that was in the first quarter, right? When the game was all flowing, it was all rainbows, it was all nice. But when the heat kind of came on from Essendon, they buckled a little bit, and both teams did their best to lose it. That's kind of how I saw it. Your buffer at the start just kind of meant it was a little bit too much for them to turn around.
You know what? I was one of the few Carlton fans in my preview that gave Essendon the respect I felt like they deserved throughout the year. I was on with the wonderful Fiona and the lunchtime catch-up as well, and I kept saying, pressure Carlton, you're more than capable of making it hard for us. Like what you did to Brisbane, incredible midfield. If you do that to us, we will do the same. We will struggle, but we probably don't have enough class like Brisbane and enough bravery to overcome it. And you know what? Full credit. Give shout out to Essendon. Battered, bruised, 40 points down in the first quarter. If they'd checked out and lost that by 50, 60, no one would have complained. Essendon fans would have done. But I think most people would have been like, they had no one down the back. Do you know what I mean? Redmond had just gone the day before. Like, they were bare bones. There would have still been a little bit of pride. I think both sides will have learnt a bit. And I think Scotty's right. I feel like Essendon fans will have left this happier than Carlton, but I don't think Carlton fans need to humble themselves a little bit. They were 14th in this game versus 10th. Like, you take the win, no matter how sexy it is.
Yeah, and yeah, I can't tell you. I honestly couldn't tell you if Carlton improved or Essendon. Like, it was just how the script goes. But if you play that game probably 9 times out of 10, another 9 times, you probably break even with Essendon. They probably win 4 or 5. You probably win another 3 or 4. Like, that's the type of game that it was to me, at least watching it as a neutral.
I suppose we all agree Carlton got second, though, yeah?
I mean, if you're removing every single team off that list, they probably stay 13th, actually, to be honest.
Oh, come on, Jakey.
You're not better than 13th.
We're better than Melbourne.
You think you're better than Melbourne?
I know we're better than Melbourne.
I mean, Melbourne thumped Sydney and beat Brisbane in Brisbane. There's nothing in this season that is anywhere near that for Carlton. Who's your biggest scalp? Who's Carlton's biggest scalp, genuinely?
number 3 on the ladder, Geelong.
Okay. And they've beaten 4. And obviously, yeah, Sydney struggling, but you didn't beat Sydney. So I can't see how you... I don't know.
And we've got to be honest, chat. You tried to put Geelong Carlton above Essendon. And I said to you, there's a serious thing on this. There's a curse on this show, Jake. When Carlton go above the opposition, they lose. And unfortunately, I can't put us. I would do what Teresa said, put Carlton 18th, because then we guarantee to win. But
look,
I would say Essendon have to come down.
I would say everyone. I would say I was going to say potentially 10th pending tomorrow night's thumping.
What about this? Look,
then Carlton. Right, you're going to put Carlton 12. Okay.
There, look. Carlton beat them. Essendon. Everyone in chat is crying that I said Carlton are better than Melbourne, but we'll find out in 4 weeks' time. But I'm willing to cede because I know what the curse of this ranking does. There you are. And next week, all the Collingwood fans in there, as much as I respect your great football club, when Carlton beat the Eagles, dependent on what Melbourne, St Kilda and GWS do, I'm putting Carlton in the 8 next week.
Surely not. You know when you can't say you're anywhere near the top 8.
Something.
Feel it on game day. You don't need to feel it in the power rankings, mate. You and Terry with your ladders and how important that is. What's important is that 4 quarters on the weekend. Get that right. Focus on that.
Look, I'm just enjoying myself, Jake. Look, I've been quite humble. I've put us 12th.
Humble? Jake. What do you mean humble? That's the only option, mate. You shouldn't even have to try and be. You shouldn't have to try and be humble. Humble is when you could go beyond that. You know what I mean?
Jake,
the lid's off.
Have you met my fucking football club? Right? Being this humble takes work, Jake.
You're a special bunch, honestly. You're the exact opposite to us, to the Saints.
Yeah, because the aura of my football club wants me to do this.
The aura.
Nah, we've got 16 flags. Fuck them off. No one likes the pies. Like that's the aura.
I reckon I can tell you now, I know you're going to say no, but if Collingwood was at the bottom of the ladder and you were 13th, you wouldn't give a stuff where you're at. You guys hate that they're number 1. And you wish you were them. That's what it is.
Can I just say?
That's what it is.
This is maybe the English mindset. There is nothing better, in my opinion, than seeing your rivals better than you. Like, honestly, like when I see Liverpool win the title and Man City and my beloved Man United, I fucking love it because I hope it burns the club like it burns me. Like, not only are we rubbish, but our arch rivals are having fun out there. So I'm not jealous of Collingwood. And that's why my videos, I give them the kudos. Because I hope one day my club take away the hatred and go, you know what, they've done it. But we're not letting them fucking do it without us fucking dragging them back down. We're going to come up there. So I love the fact they're number 1 because there's so much incentive to get to 1. It's our fiercest rivals 1.
Who cares? The incentive is to be number 1 anyway. It shouldn't matter.
I agree, but when it's your arch rivals, it should be even more. Like, the Rockets should be even more. Like, I want to fucking be there with them. I want to be. I don't want them winning it if we're not able to stop them. I want to be able to punch them, like stop them. So I hope my club looks and goes, okay, why are the Pies better than us at the minute? What have they done? How can we get there as quickly as possible, as sustained as possible? Because we can't keep having it. But there's no jealousy from my end, genuinely. Like,
yeah, fair.
They deserve to be there because they're better than us and better than everyone else.
100%. Yep.
And one day, Jake, just once, I'd like to be the humble winner, not the humble loser. Just once. Just one season. And I'll be really humble. But anyway, Melbourne, Collingwood to finish off. And you know what? I want to dispel a myth, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have seen so many fucking wintertime, I go to Buller and ski pricks go, free kick Collingwood. What a load of shit. You want to talk about loser mentality? Let's talk about loser mentality, right? A team that literally, right, dominated this game in every available metric, dominated hitouts, dominated clearance, stoppages, contested possession, dominated contested marks, its entries inside 50, it evened around contest. To lose this game isn't a little hand in the bag free kick to Nick Dacos. It is the inability to take chances. And you saw the best side in the land take its chances, be calm under pressure in that third quarter, slow the game down, versus a team that's 11th and sliding, who literally had the finishing ability of my 8-year-old son over some broccoli. Like, the perceived pressure, you're an Arsenal fan, so you will remember the glory years of Arsenal. They've got that perceived pressure now, Collingwood, which Arsenal used to have, Man United used to have in the glory days, Man City have now, where you know if you don't kill them, they'll get a chance. And when they get one chance, they take it. And you're starting to see that pressure on teams. Melbourne missed, in my opinion, so many sitters because they knew Collingwood would have an opportunity and go bang. And every time they went bang.
Yeah. They're clinical. They've done it that many times. It's not a big achievement for Collingwood to win these games. You know, it's a big achievement if Melbourne gets it done, or a St Kilda, or even a Carlton gets it done against Collingwood. But for Collingwood, we did what we needed to do. We lifted when we needed to. They tested us. We went to that level. I'm sure there's many games this year Collingwood hasn't even had to go to that level to get the chocolates. But like Swoop has said many times, and I agree with him, they've got those gears to go to. And when it gets tough and it gets tight in that last 5 minutes, they shift it into overdrive, kick those 2-3 goals, kills the game. Collingwood chant comes out, game over. And it's just on repeat every week to them. And that's why I think even with their age demographic, they just get up for it every single week, is because it's just so, it's like a formula. It's like a play, you know, it's got the acts, it's got the order of the actors and what they're going to say and when and the roles they play. And then you've got their interval, and then you come out and you just repeat it. And then a week later you do it again and you do it again. You know, so I'm hoping they drop off, but it's just the way it's going. They're not really showing any signs of it at the moment.
You know what really makes me laugh is that there's still this narrative that Pies get lucky. And what is it now? 22 wins out of 24, less than 2 goals. Like, luck doesn't strike 22 times out of 24.
Nah.
Do you know what I mean? If your girlfriend leaves you 22 relationships out of 24, that's not bad luck with girlfriends. That's you're a fucking screw up. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't be going, oh my God, so unlucky this girl's left you again.
You didn't need to get all personal on me.
I wasn't doing that. But what I'm saying is, it's just one of
who
them
leaked that info to you, man?
But it's just one of them things that I do find Australia a fascinating thing in sport, that they literally blow the smoke up the arse of anyone who shows any talent. But then when you do start executing, they're very quick to go, it's luck. They've got a voodoo doctor. They're paying off the umpires. Like, it's really hard just to say, trust me, nothing happens. Collingwood under McRae, incredible team. Well done. You win tight games because you're experienced. You know how to do it. Can't applaud you enough.
I also think it's
fucking annoying.
I see Collingwood in the last 5 minutes almost like, and I'm slowly getting back into it, but the F1. And certain drivers have the balls to go for that overtake, that tight turn, that other drivers don't want to do. So they'll just sit back and take third place, but if there's a chance for second or first, they go for it, right? And they take that chance. I think Collingwood play the majority of the game safe when it's on their terms and they're comfortably winning. But when it gets tight, they take more risks. They go for it when teams would probably lock up. That's what I think. But
I agree. And I think this game, we talked about 2 games where I think they need to look at Collingwood, North Melbourne particularly. Need to look at North. Like the way that Collingwood do something rare. I've noticed what Collingwood do. When the pressure comes, they go even slower and take the speed off the ball, which I think is incredibly hard to do. And I watched Roger Federer talk how he beat Nadal on clay, and it was take the pace, go even slower. And it was hard because he put so much pressure on you. You wanted to hit the ball harder and give him less time. But it was actually the inverse. And you watch North, Eagles, Carlton did it against Essendon. When it gets pressure, they get more rushed and more panicked, and they almost play into the cat and mouse. That's one thing. If I was a coach, I'd look at Collingwood and go, okay, they face the furnace and take the game off the opposition.
And that's probably why Geelong have such a good record against Collingwood, is because Geelong are one of those rare teams that when the heat's on, they possess the ball. They are happy to chip it around, go backwards, go sideways, really buy their time. And that probably frustrates Collingwood because they got the big crowd at the G. They want to have the game going on their terms, fast, high-pressure football. And then Geelong come to town, they chip it around, and then they just play that high-possession kicking game that we talked about before. And they probably got that blueprint that can beat Collingwood in that way.
Mate, I agree with you. I mean, we can't move Collingwood any higher. They're number 1, right? So, I mean, unless we create a new position. Melbourne are an intriguing one. What do we do with Melbourne, right? Because that's 2 on a bounce they've lost. Saints beat them quite comfortably in their pretty strong pretend home game. Collingwood beat them, and their wins are against Sydney and Brisbane. And they're starting to have the fallouts again. So you know what that happens. When it's unhappy, this is Titanic, mate.
I don't know. The Gorn thing? Yeah, I don't know. That's probably overblown a little bit, but pick your time. Do it in the rooms. Just control yourself, you know?
All I'm saying is they're one night out away from Rebs of the ladder looking like that. But you know what?
It'll happen at some point soon, I think. That's what.
We'll leave it as it is. I'll forgive them. But that is the power rankings. Thank you very much, Jake. This is where it gets real, though. Guess the player. Last week, we had the lovely Damo who joined Swoop Luke, who got naked on this stream with 7. You've got Woody at 6, Dylan and Paul 5. And then you've got a question like your real life guys who you spend a lot of time with in your real life. When Let Dog, who I spend a lot of time with, evidently knows me so well, he got 4. So cheers for that, Let Dog. Joe from Fancast, he got 4. Caden, Marnie, and Fiona. Very worrying that Pom's ability to talk to females sees them make 2 of the 3 bottom spots. That maybe says more about females than it does me, though, I'd like to think. But, Jake, what we do here is we have a bit of fun, right? So, as chat will tell you, this is all on me and less on you, right? Okay. But we will have a countdown timer for 60 seconds, and we are going to go through. You're going to guess the name of the players. So the clues could be, he's a midfielder for North Melbourne. He's Jewish and Kane Corns hates him. And you'd go,
yep, Sheasel.
Yeah. Okay. That's basically it, right?
Okay.
We have a minute and I've got to give you clues, right? It should come up on your screen. There's your minute timer, right? What we'll do is to make it fair. All you know is these are players that play now in the AFL, and they are also key defenders as rated by Champ Starter.
Say that again?
They're key defenders. So every player will name their big, tall key defenders by Champion Starter.
The one position that I suck at. Oh God. All right, let's see.
Okay, well, mate, we should be good at this. We're going to be good.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Oh, by the way, chat will help you as well because chat are very good.
All right, let's go, chat.
Chat I probably would have 10 every week if you listen to chat. But you ready?
Yep.
Okay, let's go. This guy plays for Melbourne. We just talked about him. He hates his captain.
Stephen May.
Yeah. This guy plays for Carlton. Best centre half back in the league. Fullback.
Jacob Wiedering.
Yeah. This is his mate. Plays for Carlton. Famous dad. Who?
Famous. Silvani.
Yeah. This guy probably the best. One of the most improved key defenders. Plays for Adelaide. He's Irish. His surname is a famous captain of Man United.
Famous captain?
Famous captain of Man United as well. His surname is. He was also Irish.
Oh, it's not Scholes?
No, Keane? Roy?
Keane.
Yeah.
Roy.
I'll give you it. This one is the injured fullback at St Kilda. He has a name that sounds like a dog.
Dougal Howard?
Yeah. This one is a guy for Richmond. Wait, I've started, so I finished.
That went quick. I didn't even look at the time.
Hey, we short watch. Fucking hell. Right, started, so I finished. This one plays for Richmond, and if you give him the wrong pizza, he'll punch you in the back of the head.
Noah Bolter.
Okay, you got 6. He's tied second.
That Adelaide one cost me a few seconds. I always forget that guy.
Hey, do you know what I mean? It was, to be fair, when I've got nothing to go on, it's quite hard. But you did well there, Jake. You need to back yourself in.
Oof.
Do you know what I mean?
I could have got more. Damn it.
You killed it. Look, I'll put you on the leaderboard now. Look, you're proudly there. Look, yeah. Hey, look at this.
Right next to Woody.
Saints boys conspiring.
That's it.
Tell you what,
but 2 6s, mate. 66. We're back. We're back, baby.
Hey, you're back. Hey, mate, it's a sign. It's a sign. Tell you what, you know what? We've got Terry in a couple of weeks. Like, Terry should do well because he spends more time with me than my wife. So Terry doesn't get 10. He's a disgrace. But we end with the last couple of segments. We've got the Creators Supercoach Challenge. Dylan Alexander is leading this. Damo nearly was tracking to take him out. But a poor score from his forwards sees him take second. But this is Team Sainters. Jake, tell us who you picked.
I picked, I just picked who I thought would be good scorers. At least I looked at their recent form and kind of they jumped out to me. A lot of good ball users there in form. The forwards, I went small, but they both move into the midfield a little bit as well, so that can hopefully accumulate some points. McCluggage, superstar. Bailey Smith, I think, is back this week. I've taken a punt. I'm hoping he is anyway.
Well, you can have an emergency if he doesn't play, so we can always adjust that. But, I mean, got TDK as well, because he's against Postman this weekend.
Yeah, so that was another thing I took into account was the opponent. And Naz is Naz. So I think he'll score well either way.
Contract re-signing this week from the Nas dog?
Don't think so. I kind of, the longer it goes on, the more it's a bit annoying. Especially with all these little stories popping up of him not liking Tex Walker, and then that's not true, and Caroline Wilson being Caro and that sort of thing. So, I mean, hopefully that puts him off going to South Australia with all that crazy news, and the way they kind of treated him at the airport wasn't great. But we'll match anything. People need to understand that we'll just match any bid that comes in and then force a trade if it comes down to it. So, then if there's no, you know better than me. You know better than me though. He can stay at the end of the day if we don't get a trade that we like, right?
Well, yeah. Once it's matched, it's a forced trade, so it's like.
Oh, okay.
No, what I mean is, once it's matched, if you match it, it's just like as if he's contracted for 100 years. Like,
yeah, that's it. That's exactly right. Yeah. So,
like, but the AFLPA will do the famous, oh, but he's told us that he's homesick, and if he doesn't have a pie floater,
and
he'll
that's the thing.
cry.
Like, St Kilda will probably be like, look, we want to facilitate this because Naz wants to go home, but we need to make sure we get bang for buck. Whereas even in the EPL or maybe in different sports, it's like, well, if we don't get a trade, Naz is staying here. He's a contracted player, and that's the way it should be. You know, like clubs are a bit too, I don't know, not sentimental, but they're a bit too accommodating when it comes to this sort of thing. Where it's like, maybe if we don't get the deal, we know you want to go home, but you know, we're gonna hold fire.
You know what?
But I don't know.
I never understand, and we haven't seen it. We haven't seen it since 2019. So I don't know if you remember, Tim Kelly was the last probably time we've had a matched contract offer and then a facilitated trade. And if you remember Tim Kelly, from memory, I think it's 2 of his children, they have special needs, and the only treatment facility is in Perth. Like, that's the best one in the world, in the Southern Hemisphere. But Geelong were really adamant that they wanted 3 firsts for him. And in the end, they got 14-24. They got 2 firsts and a second, with 2 banter picks in the 60s coming back for him. But they were really adamant that they wanted to facilitate this for Tim Kelly. They'd worked with him to stay a year. They knew this was going to happen. They were always going to trade him. But they worded it very well that we want him to go there, but they put it back on Eagles and were like, but if they really care about the player well-being, we've done all we can. All we're asking is they simply meet the price we've asked, which we feel is fair. And no other club's done that. Every other club's like, oh my God, we're going to look the bad guy. But Geelong were quite bold in saying they've got a duty of care to make this go through and make sure that we're not on the back foot.
100%. The duty of care is always on the other club, and it's like, for us, just put the pressure on Port, put the pressure on Adelaide. You've got to come to the party and meet our needs if you want him. You know, if you want him that badly and he's worth that much to you, you pay up. But I think Adelaide will try and just pay him a lot of money because they have nothing really to give us. Whereas Port, there's probably a little bit more flexibility in what they could trade across in terms of like ready-made players that might suit specific needs for us.
I agree with Fred as well. This is very lopsided, and I think this is probably the first time that probably I feel like it's Port and St Kilda. I'd love him to go to Adelaide from a football perspective in the terms of I think he would make Adelaide an incredible team to watch. But if I was Nas, I don't know why I'd leave St Kilda. Like, he's got Windhager, he's got a real good group there, he's going to get paid well. And I don't think St Kilda is... I don't think Port are anywhere near St Kilda's level.
Yeah, I mean, you go into a club that you don't know how the new coach is going to be, what your role is going to be like there, the future plan. At least from our perspective, the next 3 or 4 years, I can see them being mapped out already from what Ross has done and the players we're debuting this year. I can't really say that about Port. I need to watch them a bit more, to be honest. But I think our future is definitely a little brighter than theirs. Even though their history, they've been up, higher than us on the ladder for most of it. But I think we're in a better position. We can pay. The only difference is we're just not in South Australia. Like, to be honest, that's the sticking point. At least what people say. I've never actually heard like anyone say, I've spoken to Naz and he is homesick. I just feel like this is a manufactured thing that's come out of nowhere.
If you look at his history of press conferences, he has been quite open. He loves St Kilda.
Yeah. And he did that last week. He did it in the article with the AFL. He said he loves playing for St Kilda and he wants to be part of something special there. He loves the coaches. He loves Ross. He's got great mates. And then he
lives with Windy, doesn't he? And
he lives with Windy and Owens. And he's very close with Mason Wood, who took him in when he was first drafted and lived with Mason and his partner. And Mason has been known to be, very accommodating for a lot of the new kids that have come to St Kilda in the last 3 or 4 years. So he's got sort of a father figure on the field and off the field in Mason. And then, he's got a fan base that loves him. He's he is the number one dude in the club, you know. Everyone goes to the footy and loves watching him play the most, currently in the St Kilda lineup. So I don't see, you know, apart from, you know, being a flight away from his family, everything else seems pretty good on our end.
Mate, I'm with you. And I think people forget he's 22 years old. So he's got plenty of time to go home to South Australia. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's 6 years will fly by and he could leave at 28 as an uncontracted free agent.
I think he'll just sign a 3-year deal on big money and then reassess. Because by then we should be at least puts the pressure on us to deliver and become a good team by the time he's ready to leave again. You know?
Couldn't agree more with you. Couldn't agree more. But I mean, then, Jake, we get the exciting segment. To finish with the tipping competition, you'll see Leckdog and Navy Blue Corner leading the way. The asterisks denote they had to play in a Mickey Mouse round where the AFL decided to have buys. Obviously, I did round. I unfortunately had round 1 where they just killed Gold Coast for banter. And Caden did the other buy round. And unfortunately, Damo, who did try and pick some shocks last week, picked the wrong shocks. He's only got 4. Woody, unfortunately, like all guys who plays with data, overthought it and looked like an idiot at the end. So I am just the back marker here. I just merely play this one with you for fun. But Jake, Saints, Dogs, who are you tipping in this one?
I would be tipping the Dogs if I was a tipping man. I'm doing this. I'm being just pure competitor now. I want to be top of that tipping list.
Oh, so, look at this. Teresa, look, don't do that to me. You're my lucky charm in games. Do not go and cheer against my Blues. I want to tip the Saints for you and my wife's sake, but I do feel like Darcy comes back.
Oh, I genuinely think we were in with a shout, but I'm just going purely on wanting to increase my chances of getting the 7 this week. So Crows against... Yeah, I'll go the Crows.
Going Crows?
Yeah.
You know what? I'll follow you in on that one. Lions, frauds.
Lions. That's an easy one.
You know, you know what? There. I've only done it twice this year, tip the frauds. Bombers, Cats.
Cats. Although that could be closer than expected if the Bombers turn up their last couple of weeks' form. But yeah, the Cats are 2.
It would be quality banter if Bombers beat Geelong. It would really throw a cat amongst the pigeons.
Yeah. There's...
this is the most... You know, we always talk about this on True Footy. Yeah. This is the most Dockers game to lose ever.
It is. Like, if North had have smashed the Eagles and shown a little bit more, I would have thought, okay, they're in with a chance. But if they play like they did against the Eagles, against the Dockers, they lose. It's pretty simple. I think the Dockers are finding their groove a little bit now, which is a bit scary considering they are the youngest list in the competition.
I'm with you. I mean, I know it's off the bye and it's always squeaky bum time off the bye, isn't it? But, like, all due respect to North, like, Fremantle can play 5 out of 10 and win this.
Yeah, and look, it looks a bit different when it says North v Dockers and you're like, oh, North are the home team, maybe they'll win. But then if you just flip and go Dockers v North, we're all tipping Dockers just mentally in a way because it's the Dockers home game, which it is anyway still. So I don't know how many North fans are going to be flying over. Maybe they would have stayed a week to watch both games there and support the boys.
It's weird. You would have thought they would have, if I was the North, I would have rather have had this game at Bunbury.
Yeah, I guess, but you get a bigger crowd. Oh, would you? The crowd would be similar either way, I suppose. Eagles or Dockers.
Well, I just thought the better side are the Dockers. I would want them to have less comfortability than the Eagles. I feel like this is like self-destruction.
We'll see. Yeah, Dockers
Port
there.
Demons. These are 2 fraud sides.
Yeah, this is probably one of the harder ones because you can make a claim for both teams. Demons showed some signs against the Pies. They've already beaten Brisbane away, so they're not too really worried about travelling. And you said Port are pretty good at Adelaide Oval, but also prone to just losing.
You know what's interesting? They're $1.80 to win this part, which is quite confident. I would say is a 50-50 game.
They played the Eagle. They beat GWS last week, didn't they? Away.
Yeah.
This is one of those Ken Hinkley games, I reckon. I reckon they're going to get up for it. I reckon the Port are going to get it done.
You know what? I'll go to. So I'm tipping against you. I'll go Demons on this one. But then we finish with technically 3 buys. Carlton are on a buy here. No, I'm only joking. Carlton have to travel up to WA and a must-win game for the Blues.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting watch. Because it's not really been a challenge for you playing them the last 5 or 6 times. It's always been Curno's kicked a bag. You've won by 10 goals. It's never. When was the last time Eagles stressed you out when you played them?
Feels like a long time. It was like 70 points last time, wasn't it? And then it was like 70 points the time before. Yeah, I think it's been 70 the last 3 times.
But were any of them at Optus? I think Curnow kicked 10 at Optus, didn't he, once?
It was the last year, 20. It was like round 23. We had them like at the end of the round the year that we made finals. From 2024.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And we went Cocoa Bananas at Optus. Like it was goal after goal. We looked so good. I'll take me back. And we kicked 14-15, Jake, as well. I remember that. It was like 50% at goal. Like it could have been a cricket score. We just were really wasteful.
Yeah, I'll go the Blues.
You know it's the Blues. The Blues.
I think the Eagles might... I don't think this will be a 70-pointer. Like the
you know what? I'll say this. If look, all due respect, if I was the Eagles, I'd be excited about this game. Because, no, I'd be saying, look, put the pressure on, do the fundamentals, and make them question themselves.
Yeah. It's the first 15 minutes for the Eagles. That's as simple as that.
And they did it to you, didn't they? With all due respect, not taking the piss, but you just didn't kill them early.
No, and they built into it. They had a lot of emotions going that week. I just tipped every away team except who was the only home team I tipped? There was one. I tipped all the away teams. Crazy.
Hey, mate. Tell you what, it's been a weird year, but I mean, Jake, firstly, thank you very much for joining me, and I'm going to put your link in the chat. If people go over to Saints TV, apart from Saints stuff, what can they expect from Saints TV?
I don't know. There's a mix of content there where there's videos there of me being serious and critical of the club, and then there's videos with Woody. He does some really good analytics, breaking down the game and there's certain plays. We've got the podcast. There's a bit of variety there. It's quite the community now, which is really nice. And I'd like to think I don't take easy, cheap pot shots at a lot of teams. I know I do with the Blues, mainly just to stir you up, but I think I try to remain as level-headed as I can. So just an honest perspective. And if you're curious about what Saints fans think and how we feel, because I know we're a very unique bunch, I feel like my channel's a good place to go and check it out.
To be fair, it is a very good community there. It's a nice little place, I've got to say. And I respect all the work you do, Jake, because I think it's, you show your passion. I think it's a market that is littered with clubs that we know are noisy, and it's nice to have representation that it's not always about the big 4 Melbourne clubs. There is 18 clubs who are just as proud, passionate, and want to win like the rest of them.
100%, yeah. Once we get going, there'll be people popping up out of places that you didn't think existed. So I think we're not a sleeping giant, but I think we'll build if we can get some wins on the board and make finals consistently.
Hey, mate. Well, thank you very much for joining me. For those on the channel, there's loads of content coming up this week. You've got a draft video, you've got a power rankings draft video, you've got the Carlton preview, you've got 3 watch-alongs, you've got absolutely loads coming on this week. And this Sunday, I can reveal, we've got Deebs from the Sydney Swans poddy. I'm looking forward to that because that guy is a loose unit. So that could be a new one for me. We might have someone that tells more dirty analogies than me. I might be I might have met my match this week. But Jake, as always, pleasure working with you, mate. And hope everyone watching realizes me and Jake do love each other. A lot of it's just pure banter.
Do people actually think we don't like each other?
Yeah, I genuinely... Look, I said it to you off camera the other day. We are like brothers. We fucking pick at each other, but that's generally what we enjoy.
Yeah, we generally agree on a lot of things anyway. You know, when we get rid of the banter and all the bullshit, I think we can... Yeah, I think we tend to agree on Carlton quite a bit, more than what people think.
Hey, we do. Well, maybe. Jake, as always, mate, pleasure. I hope you have a great rest of your week and good luck this weekend. And thanks, chat, for joining us, and we'll see you on Sunday.
Thanks, guys. See you soon.